Today, the world witnesses a historic moment. After the death of Pope Francis, the conclave has ended, and a new leader of the Catholic Church has been chosen. His name is Robert Francis Prevost, now officially known as Pope Leo XIV. But this name awakens something deeper, something mysterious, something prophetic. Could he be the last pope in history? The Prophecy of Malachy, an ancient text attributed to the Irish Bishop St. Malachy, has been debated by theologians, scholars, and curious minds over the centuries. According to this prophecy, there would be a list of 112 popes, each described by a symbolic phrase. The last on the list would be known as Peter the Roman, and after him, the end, the final judgment, the fall of Rome, the destruction of the Church. But something draws attention. Pope Francis was number 112 on the list. This means that, technically, Leo XIV would no longer be on it. So, what does this mean? Is the prophecy over? Is it wrong? Or has it begun to be fulfilled right now, with Leo XIV as a mysterious figure marking the end of an era? Some scholars point out that the name chosen by the new pope is, in itself, symbolic. Leo, a name that refers to power, royalty, war. The last pope to use this name was Leo XIII in the 19th century. Now, more than a century later, this name returns amid global chaos, wars, and spiritual crises. Coincidence? Or a sign? Many faithful around the world watch with fear and expectation. For some, Leo XIV is a leader chosen by God to guide the Church in dark times. For others, he is a fulfillment of warnings left by saints, mystics, and prophets throughout the centuries. For prophecy scholars, the arrival of Leo XIV may indicate the beginning of the final events foretold not only by St. Malachy, but also by other ancient revelations, such as those of Fatima, Garabandal, and even the biblical apocalypse. The Prophecy of Malachy describes the last pope as one who will reign during great tribulations, a time when Rome will be destroyed, and the terrible judge will judge the people. These are frightening words, but also mysterious. Who would this terrible judge be? A divine figure? Or an antichrist disguised as peace and charity? Many believe that the last pope will not necessarily be an enemy of the faith, but rather a leader during a period of great trials, a time when true faith will be tested, when the faithful will need to choose between truth and illusion. But there are also those who see the last pope as an ambiguous figure, a charismatic man, loved by the world, but who, unknowingly, could open the doors to apostasy, deception, and the fall of true doctrine. Leo XIV begins his pontificate, surrounded by questions. Why was he chosen among so many more experienced and well-known cardinals? What does his election represent for the future of the Church? And why do so many see in his image a reflection of ancient prophecies warning about the end of times? The Vatican, throughout its history, has been the stage for secrets, conspiracies, and mysteries. Hidden documents, visions of saints kept silent, censored Marian apparitions. The third secret of Fatima itself was kept secret for decades. When it was finally revealed, many claimed the official version was incomplete. Could it be that now, with Leo XIV, these secrets will come to light? There are also those who believe the new pope may have a crucial role in global events. The world today lives in an era of uncertainties. Wars, economic crises, nuclear threats, social collapses. Amid all this, the Catholic Church needs a strong voice, a leader, a shepherd. But what happens if this leader is not what he seems? If the prophecy of Malachy is correct, this could be the beginning of a drastic change, not only within the Church, but throughout the world. The reign of Leo XIV may mark the transition between the era of mercy and the time of judgment, between shepherding and the final confrontation between light and darkness. But what exactly does the Prophecy of Malachy say? According to records, it was written in the 12th century and remained hidden for over 400 years until it was published in 1595. The list presents a series of Latin mottos for each pope, some clearly enigmatic, others surprisingly accurate. Pope Francis's motto was Petrus Romanus, Peter the Roman. However, Francis never adopted this name, which led many to question whether he was really the last on the list or if the true Peter the Roman was yet to come. Others, however, interpret it differently. They say that the motto Peter the Roman did not refer to the adopted name, but rather to the role, a steadfast shepherd in times of persecution. And, in this case, Francis would have fulfilled this prophecy, preparing the way for what was to come next. Thus, Leo XIV would enter an even more delicate prophetic terrain. He would be the one who reigns after the last name on the list, a pope outside the prophecy, a sign that the Church's time on earth may be coming to an end. Several Marian apparitions also point to difficult times. In La Salette, the Virgin reportedly warned of a deep crisis within the Church. In Akita, Japan, a nun received messages about division, fire from the sky, and a future punishment. And more recently, in Medjugorje, the visionaries claim to have received secrets that cannot yet be revealed. But there is something in common in all these revelations: the call to conversion, prayer, and fasting, because difficult times would come. And now, with the election of Leo XIV, many wonder if those times have arrived. The figure of a pope has always been a symbol of stability, of continuity, but also of hope. However, there is a growing number of people, including within the clergy, who see worrying signs in the direction the Church has taken. Changes in the liturgy, rapprochements with other religions, speech is more focused on the world than on the spiritual. Could Leo XIV be the Pope who will unite the world under a new faith, or the one who will restore the lost tradition? Another troubling question concerns the very foundation of the Church. Jesus said to Peter, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." But what if the gates of hell are already open? What if, even without prevailing, they manage to infiltrate silently? What if part of the structure that should protect the faithful is being corroded from within? Throughout history, there have been holy popes, martyrs, reformers, and also controversial ones. But never before has the world been so globalized, so connected, and at the same time, so spiritually dispersed. The election of Leo XIV occurs at a unique moment, a moment when decisions from Rome affect not only Catholics, but all humanity. With every statement, every gesture, every decision, the eyes of the world will be on this new pontiff. And many will ask, is he the Pope of hope or the sign of the end? The answer may not lie only in books or prophecies, but in the events that will unfold in the coming days, months, and years. And what about the coincidences? Leo XIV assumes office while the earth faces wars in various parts of the globe, while natural disasters intensify, and while division among peoples, religions, and nations grows. The global stage seems ready for something greater, something definitive. And on this stage enters a figure who carries a name of strength, a smile of peace, and a mantle of responsibility that few would dare to wear. But to understand the depth of the moment we are living, it is necessary to go back in time. The history of the Catholic Church is marked by great transitions, from the first popes persecuted by the Roman Empire, through the Middle Ages with its almost absolute power, to modern times, where the Church had to adapt to an increasingly secular society. In all these phases, each new pope represented not only a change in leadership, but a reflection of the times and an indication of what was to come. Now, with Leo XIV, it seems we are facing an even more radical transition. Experts in eschatology, the study of end times prophecies, warn that there have never been so many signs at the same time. The increase in violence, the coldness in hearts, the inversion of values, the uncontrolled advancement of technology, and the loss of faith in institutions are some of the elements cited. All of this has already been foretold in various parts of the Bible, especially in chapter 24 of the Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus speaks of the signs that would precede the end. And many of these signs are becoming increasingly visible. Within this context, Leo XIV becomes a key figure. His posture, his words, and his first decisions will be closely analyzed. He will have to balance tradition and modernity, spirituality and diplomacy, faith and reason. But above all, he will have to face the weight of an expectation that goes beyond the natural. After all, he is not just a new pope. For many, he may be the last. But what does it mean to be the last pope? According to some interpreters of the Prophecy of Malachy, after the pontificate of Peter the Roman, the final judgment would come, the destruction of Rome, the persecution of Christians, the return of Christ. But others argue that this prophecy should not be read literally, but symbolically. Perhaps the end is not the end of the world, but the end of an era, the end of one type of church, and the beginning of another, purer, more faithful, closer to the origins of the gospel. Leo XIV, so far, has shown himself to be a calm man, with simple speech and a serene look, but also firm. In his first speech, he spoke of unity, hope, and the need for a new time of faith. However, his gestures have also been cautiously analyzed. Some notice the absence of certain traditional symbols. Others, the more ecumenical tone of his words. Are these signs of profound change, or just a different style of leadership? Meanwhile, on social media and in religious circles, the debate intensifies. Some celebrate the arrival of a more modern pope. Others fear that this represents a departure from doctrine. And amid all this, the doubt remains. Are we living prophetic fulfillment? Are we witnessing the last chapters of a millennial story? The truth is that the world has changed, and the church too, but the questions remain. Does faith survive? Is the gospel still preached with courage? Are Christian values still defended with conviction? Or are we adapting so much to the world that we have lost the essence of what really matters? These questions do not depend only on the new pope. They depend on each of us, because more than ever, the responsibility to live the faith is not only in Rome, but in the heart of every believer. Leo XIV may be the last pope or the first of a new era, but what will really make a difference is how we, as a living church, respond to the challenges of the times. And it is at this point that we need to reflect deeply. It is not enough to merely observe the signs, comment on the prophecies, or seek interpretations. Action is necessary. In times of confusion, doubt, and fear, faith must become practical. The new pope can lead the church, but it is the people of God who must be the light of the world. If Leo XIV is truly the last pope, this should not lead us to despair, but to a spiritual awakening. Often, we wait for great miracles or supernatural events to believe that something is happening. But God also speaks in silence, in small changes, in the personal decisions each one makes in their daily life. Perhaps the great transformation of the church will not come only from the high chair in Rome, but from the collective awakening of thousands of Christians who, amid chaos, decide to live with integrity, love, compassion, and truth. And if the prophecy of Malachy is correct, and if we are truly in the end times, then more than ever we must be prepared. Not with fear, but with faith. The return of Christ, announced centuries ago, should not be seen as a tragedy, but as fulfillment of all promises, a time of justice, truth, and eternal peace. But to be ready, we must watch. We must pray. We must choose daily between living for ourselves or living for the kingdom. And even if all of this is just a coincidence, that Leo XIV is just another pope, the call remains the same. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. These words have echoed from John the Baptist to our days, and each generation has its mission. Perhaps our mission is precisely this: to awaken, unite, strengthen faith, and prepare the way for something much greater. Therefore, at this symbolic moment in the history of the Church, it is essential that each of us seek answers not only in prophecies or the Pope's words, but in our own hearts. Let each one ask themselves, am I living as Christ taught? Am I ready for what is to come? Am I bringing the light of faith to those in darkness? This is the true preparation, not just studying the signs, but being a sign, being a living witness of the gospel in a world that desperately needs hope. If we have come this far together, it is because there is a restlessness within you, a search, a calling to understand the time we are living in. And this is no coincidence. Each generation carries a weight and a mission, and perhaps our mission is to discern the signs of the times, remain firm in faith, and not allow fear to paralyze us. Pope Leo XIV may be a transitional figure, a prophetic milestone, or just another spiritual leader amid turbulent times. But the most important thing is not the title he carries, but what it awakens in us. It awakens urgency. It awakens reflection. It awakens a call to repentance and vigilance. The prophecy of Malachy may or may not be fulfilling before our eyes, But what is clear is that the world needs to turn its eyes back to God. Human structures fail. Systems collapse. But the word of the Lord endures forever. And it invites us to endure as well, to be the salt of the earth, the light of the world, even in the midst of darkness. If you have come this far, it is because you feel that something greater is happening. Therefore, I invite you, strengthen your faith, read the scriptures, pray sincerely, seek spiritual discernment, share this message with those you love, because perhaps this video is more than just a simple reflection. Perhaps it is a sign, a warning, an awakening. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any content. Here we talk about prophecies, faith, biblical history, and the mystery surrounding the times we live in. Together, we can seek the truth and prepare for all that is to come. May God bless you and keep you. May He strengthen you and give you peace, even in the midst of the storm.